Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English story. The Small Start. I grew up in a small town where dreams were measured by practicality. Most people believe that sticking to what you know and playing it safe was the only way to live. My family wasn't wealthy, and opportunities seemed scarce. But even as a child, I always felt there was more to life than the boundaries of our little town. I remember sitting on the rooftop of our modest house, staring at the stars and thinking, how can I ever reach something this vast? The school. I loved to draw, and I dreamed of becoming a renowned architect. But every time I shared my ambition, people would laugh. Architect? That's too big for someone like you. They'd say. Why not just work at your uncle's shop and earn a steady living? For a while, I believed them. After all, they had more experience in life. But a tiny voice inside me kept whispering, why not dream big? The spark of a vision. One day, during a school field trip to the city, I saw my first skyscraper. Its glass facade sparkled under the sun, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. To me, it wasn't just a building. It was a symbol of possibility. Standing there, I made a promise to myself. One day, I'll design something just as magnificent. But when I shared this with my family, they were skeptical. Dreams are nice, my father said. But remember, you have to be realistic. We can't afford college for you. His words stung. But I didn't give up. Instead, I started looking for scholarships, part-time jobs, and anything else that could help me get closer to my dream. The first step, getting into an architecture program, was a challenge. My grades were decent, but my financial situation was a barrier. I applied to countless scholarships, often staying up late to write essays and prepare portfolios. Finally, I received a partial scholarship to a university in the city. It wasn't enough to cover all the costs, so I worked part-time as a waiter, a delivery driver, and even a janitor to make ends meet. The workload was exhausting, and there were times I wanted to quit. But every time I felt like giving up, I reminded myself of that skyscraper and the promise I made. Thinking bigger. During my second year at university, I entered a national design competition. The theme was reimagining urban spaces, and the prize was a full scholarship. I spent sleepless nights working on my design, a futuristic community center that combined eco-friendly technology with modern aesthetics. When I presented my project to the judges, I was terrified. These were industry leaders, and I was just a small-town kid with big dreams. But to my surprise, they loved it. I won the competition and the full scholarship. That moment taught me a valuable lesson. When you think big, you open doors to possibilities you never imagined. Building the dream, winning the competition was a turning point in my life. With the full scholarship, I no longer had to worry about tuition, which meant I could focus entirely on my studies and creativity. I threw myself into every project, internship, an opportunity that came my way. But thinking big wasn't just about dreaming. It was about acting on those dreams. I started reaching out to architects whose work I admired, asking for advice or mentorship. Most didn't reply, but a few did. One, in particular, became a guiding light for me. "Your ambition will take you places," she told me. "But remember, big dreams require even bigger persistence." The reality check. After graduating, I landed a job at a reputable architecture firm. First, it felt like a dream come true. But the reality of working in the industry was different from what I had imagined. Deadlines were tight. The pressure was immense. And I often felt like just another cog in the machine. I realized that if I wanted to truly make an impact, I needed to step out of my comfort zone. So, I started working on a side project, a design for a sustainable housing community that could benefit low-income families. My colleagues thought I was wasting my time. "You're overthinking," one of them said. "No one will fund a project like that." But I remembered the lesson I'd learned. Think big and act bigger. Turning vision into reality, I pitched my project to multiple organizations, and after countless rejections, one nonprofit finally took interest. They agreed to fund a pilot version of the community if I could deliver a workable model within 6 months. Balancing the project with my full-time job was grueling. I often worked late into the night, fueled by the belief that this idea could change lives. When the pilot community was completed, it exceeded everyone's expectations. The housing was affordable, environmentally friendly, and aesthetically beautiful. Families moved in. And for the first time, I saw how my dream could make a tangible difference in people's lives. That project became the foundation for my own architectural firm, dedicated to creating spaces that uplift communities while pushing the boundaries of design. Moral of the story: the story of Think Big teaches us that the size of our dreams determines the size of our achievements. Thinking big means daring to imagine possibilities beyond what others might deem realistic or practical. But dreaming isn't enough. Those dreams require action, persistence, and courage to face rejection and failure. Most importantly, thinking big isn't just about personal success. It's about creating value for others and leaving a positive impact on the world. When you dream fearlessly and act relentlessly, you discover that the limits you once believed in are merely stepping stones to something greater. The leap into leadership. Launching my own architectural firm was both exhilarating and terrifying. I had no safety net and a team of 3 fresh graduates who believed in my vision. Every decision, from choosing clients to managing finances, felt like walking a tightrope. First, work was slow. Potential clients doubted that a small, unestablished firm could handle large projects. But instead of chasing traditional opportunities, I focused on our unique strength, creating sustainable, community-driven designs. One day, we landed our first major contract, a cultural center that would serve as a hub for art, education, and environmental awareness. Winning that bid wasn't easy. I had to convince the investors that the project would not only look good, but also create lasting value for the community. Lessons in failure. While the cultural center was a success, not every project went smoothly. There was one, a commercial plaza design, where we underestimated the construction costs. The client was disappointed, and we faced harsh criticism. For a while, I questioned whether I was cut out for this. But instead of giving up, I took the failure as a learning opportunity. I implemented tighter project management systems and sought advice from experienced mentors. Failures taught me that thinking big also means owning your mistakes and growing from them. A global vision. As the firm grew, so did my dreams. I began to see architecture not just as a career but as a way to address global challenges like climate change, urban overcrowding, and housing inequality. We started collaborating with international organizations on projects in developing countries, designing schools, hospitals, and homes for communities in need. Each project was a reminder of why I had dared to think big in the first place. To make an impact that transcended borders. Inspiring the next generation. One of the most fulfilling parts of my journey has been mentoring young architects who remind me of my younger self, full of dreams but unsure where to start. I always tell them, your ideas have the power to change the world. But you must be willing to put in the work, face setbacks, and keep going when it feels impossible. Dreaming big is only the beginning. Acting big is where the magic happens. The ripple effect. Now, years later, the skyscraper I once dreamed of designing is taking shape, a cutting-edge, eco-friendly high-rise in the heart of the city. But as I stand at the construction site, I realize the true reward isn't the building itself. It's the lives I've touched, the minds I've inspired, and the barriers I've helped break. Thinking big didn't just change my life, created a ripple effect, proving to others that when you dare to dream and act with purpose, anything is possible. Reaching new heights. The skyscraper project wasn't just a personal milestone. It was a testament to what bold thinking could achieve. As the building neared completion, media outlets began covering the story. People were curious about the small-town architect who dared to dream beyond his circumstances. One day, during an interview, a journalist asked me, "What gave you the courage to think so big when the odds were stacked against you?" I smiled, remembering the young boy who used to stare at the stars. It wasn't courage at first, I replied. It was curiosity. I wanted to see what was possible. The courage came later when I realized that dreaming big means stepping into discomfort and pushing through doubt. The bigger picture. As my firm grew, I realized that success wasn't just about building iconic structures, it was about building a legacy. I started initiatives to fund scholarships for underprivileged students interested in architecture, particularly those from small towns like mine. One of the students we sponsored sent me a heartfelt letter. She wrote, "You showed me that someone like me could aim for something greater. Now, I want to show the next generation the same." That letter solidified my belief that thinking big isn't just about individual achievements. It's about inspiring others to expand their vision of what's possible. The personal sacrifice. Despite the success, the journey wasn't without sacrifices. There were times I missed family events, moments of rest, and opportunities to connect with loved ones because I was so focused on the mission. One evening, while reviewing blueprints late into the night, I found an old photo of my family at the dinner table. It reminded me of a promise I had made to myself years ago: to create a life where I could both dream big and live meaningfully. From that day, I began prioritizing balance. I learned that thinking big doesn't mean sacrificing everything. It means creating harmony between ambition and the life you want to live. A world of possibilities. Years later, as I stood atop the completed skyscraper, looking out at the horizon, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. The journey from a small-town dreamer to a global architect wasn't just about achieving goals. It was about the lessons learned, the lives touched, and the belief that the world is full of infinite possibilities. I realized then that thinking big isn't just an action. It's a mindset. It's about embracing challenges, taking risks, and trusting that even the smallest steps can lead to extraordinary destinations. The power of passing it on. Years after the skyscraper was completed, I found myself back in the small town where it all began. I was invited to speak at my old school, the same place where my journey had started. As I walked into the auditorium, I saw a sea of young faces, each one filled with curiosity and hope. I started my speech by holding up a piece of paper on which I had written my very first big dream, the sketch of a skyscraper I had drawn as a child. "This was once just an idea," I said. "But ideas have power. When you nurture them, believe in them, and work for them, they can transform into reality." Creating a legacy. After the talk, a boy approached me. His name was Arjun, and he reminded me of myself. He shared how he wanted to invent sustainable energy systems, but was told by many that it was too ambitious. "Do you believe in it?" I asked him. "Yes," he replied, his eyes brimming with determination. "Then it's not too ambitious," I said. "It's exactly what the world needs." In that moment, I realized that my greatest achievement wasn't the skyscrapers or the awards. It was the spark of belief I could ignite in others. A full circle moment. Standing in that school auditorium, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. My journey had come full circle, from being a child with a dream to becoming someone who could help others dare to dream big. 2. The real measure of success, I understood, isn't just what you achieve. It's the impact you leave behind, the inspiration you offer, and the doors you help open for others. Moral of the story. The story of Think Big teaches us that our dreams are only as big as we allow them to be. Thinking big isn't about reaching for the impossible. It's about believing in yourself and taking the steps necessary to turn your vision into reality. Success isn't just about personal accomplishments. It's about inspiring and uplifting others. When you think big and act boldly, you not only change your life but also create a ripple effect that can transform the lives of those around you. So dream big, act bigger, and never underestimate the power of your own mind to create something extraordinary. Expanding the vision. After the school visit, I began to think deeply about the ripple effect of dreams. It wasn't just about inspiring individuals, it was about creating systems and opportunities that could elevate entire communities. With this in mind, I launched an initiative called Vision Builders, a program designed to mentor and fund young innovators who had big ideas but lacked the resources to pursue them. The first cohort included artists, engineers, social workers, and entrepreneurs. Each of them had a bold vision. Some wanted to revolutionize healthcare. Others dreamed of tackling climate change or promoting education in underserved regions. Watching their projects come to life was as fulfilling as building my skyscraper. The global stage. As my work gained international recognition, I was invited to speak at global conferences and forums. These events weren't just opportunities to showcase my achievements. They were platforms to advocate for thinking big as a collective mindset. I shared my belief that the world doesn't need more people playing it safe. It needs dreamers and doers who are willing to challenge norms and push boundaries. At one such event, I introduced the idea of global dreaming, where people from different cultures and backgrounds collaborate to solve shared problems. The concept resonated, and soon, Vision Builders became a global movement. Coming home, despite the international acclaim, my heart always belonged to the small town where it all started. I returned there frequently, not just to visit but to invest. We built a state-of-the-art community center that included a library, a technology hub, and a creative space for young minds to explore their potential. I wanted the next generation to have access to the resources I once only dreamed of. One evening, as I walked through the center, I overheard a group of kids discussing their ideas for a science project. Their excitement and curiosity reminded me of my own journey, and I couldn't help but smile. The ultimate dream. As I reflect on my life, I realize that thinking big is not a destination. It's a lifelong journey. It's about constantly asking, what more can I do? How else can I contribute? My ultimate dream is to create a world where everyone, regardless of their background, feels empowered to think big and act on their dreams. I've learned that when you dare to think beyond yourself, you create opportunities for others to rise alongside you. That, more than any skyscraper or award, is the legacy I want to leave behind. Conclusion. Thinking big started as a personal ambition, but evolved into a mission to inspire and empower others. The journey wasn't easy, but it was worth every challenge. So, to anyone reading this, I have one message. Dream as big as you can. Then, take the steps to make those dreams a reality. Because when you think big and act boldly, the world becomes full of infinite possibilities, and you become the one to make them happen. Moral of the story: Think Big teaches us that our greatest limitations are often the ones we place on ourselves. The story emphasizes the power of dreaming boldly, believing in those dreams, and taking action to bring them to life. 1. Dare to dream boldly. No matter where you come from, your dreams can take you to unimaginable heights if you have the courage to pursue them. 2. Face challenges with determination. Every obstacle is a stepping stone, and every failure is a lesson. The key is to keep moving forward. 3. Inspire others. True success isn't just about achieving your own goals. It's about lifting others and creating opportunities for them to succeed as well. 4. Leave a legacy. The most meaningful achievements are those that make a lasting impact, whether on individuals, communities, or the world. 5. Think beyond yourself. Big dreams often lead to big contributions. When you dream with purpose, you have the power to create a ripple effect that inspires and uplifts others. Ultimately, the story reminds us you are capable of greatness, but greatness begins in your mind. Think big, act bigger, and leave the world better than you found it. I'm so glad you spent this time with me. If you like the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Take care, and see you next time.